Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here for Friends at 5. Right now, we are tapping back into this ongoing news conference regarding weekend fights at Finlay Park. Have a listen.
Potentially saved a life or certainly saved some injuries.
And how many teams do you think were involved in ballpark?
I can tell you from what's been reviewed today, we think there's 12 to 15 primary aggressors. With that, though, again, we've all seen this. I mean, you have your primary aggressors, then you have all the people standing by, not doing anything but pulling their stupid phones out, videotaping, and just egging it on. So you saw that too. So you have people directly involved and then people indirectly involved.
What is your response to citizens who are saying that no other big events in the city get shut down and that they believe that the minors should have just been arrested and removed and the event should have continued?
I think that's not keeping your eye on the ball. Just based on what I just described, I can't make a more vivid description of what we were dealing with. So, when we make a physical arrest of somebody, it's at least 2 police officers. It involves handcuffing them, removing them from the scene, taking them to a vehicle, and putting them in a vehicle, having them remain in your custody. Can you imagine if we started doing that while all this pandemonium was going on? You have to manage the scene with what you're dealing with that's in front of you, and I think they made the appropriate decisions to detain, identify, and release. And when I say release, they removed them from the fray, but it was not a situation where I think a custodial arrest would have benefited us in the heat of the moment. It certainly would post-incident. And there may have been something that could have occurred of a more violent nature that would have absolutely caused us to do that if somebody was found in possession with a weapon or something. But I can't Monday morning quarterback those officers' decisions. They made the decision in the heat of the moment, and it was the right call.
Chief, one question I do want to ask for clarity, because the parent did tell me that they actually went home with their child that was detained on Saturday. So were the juveniles arrested, were they detained, and then subsequently released?
I understand the question. So the juveniles were detained and they were released into the custody of their parents pending juvenile petitions, meaning it's the equivalent of an adult arrest warrant. The cases will be investigated and a petition will be filed with the juvenile solicitor, and that juvenile will be taken into custody and dealt with through the juvenile system.
Now, was an individual that had the marijuana on that person also a juvenile? Was that an adult?
That was an adult.
Were they arrested?
Yes, they were.
If teens find these, teen takeover flyers or intelligence on Snapchat or other channels, what is the appropriate way to report that to the city or to CPD?
Either a phone call or forwarding the information to our website, reaching out to region commanders, our community officers. We were very fortunate to have just so many followers and supporters that will send stuff like that to us, so that we do have good situational awareness. But we always would encourage anybody that has any information, whether it's a flyer or an email, just word of mouth of something of concern, that they share that with law enforcement.
That there's a group currently reviewing security camera footage. How much coverage do the security cameras give the playground area? Do you feel confident that whoever left the ammunition there, that the security cameras would have captured that, or is there a question about that?
Well, we intentionally don't say exactly where every cone of coverage is for our cameras. We feel like we have excellent camera coverage out here. We are hopeful we will be able to identify somebody that discarded that or dropped it. It could have been dropped during the pandemonium that was going on. So it may be difficult because of the large crowd to actually see ammunition falling or coming from a bag or being thrown, what have you. So I would say there's a decent chance with the video coverage that we have, but it's video coverage is not a guarantee either.
And how much recovered and what kind?
I'm not going to get into the amount, but I will tell you it was 9mm handgun ammunition.
Chief, one question I want to ask as well. I know we talked about the number of officers here, as well as the days following as far as the sweep is concerned. That said, is there I guess, an opportunity for a chance to look back at staffing or things of that nature? Is there a need for more staffing?
We always review critical incidents. There is nobody more critical of us than ourselves. We will look at that. I can tell you that staffing events and staffing rallies and protests is not something that's new to us, and we take that very seriously, and we always act on the best of intelligence. But I sense that our city manager is going to give you some clarity on that too, right?
Just want to add to it. You know, we can't have enough of these gentlemen and women in blue, and so we have in our ideal world, we want to get to the point where there's always 10 officers that are trained and hired for Finlay Park. Okay, that's always been the goal, and we're not quite there yet. There were 10 officers that staffed this event, but that's pulling from, you know, different officers who normally work other places. But the benefit of hiring officers specific to Finlay is that they're being hired, and there's 3 that I think it's 1 on the ground and 2 in the queue.
Yes, ma'am.
Already. They're trained as ambassadors in an urban park setting, so their eye is going to be in a lens towards certain things. Not just doing what their normal policing requires of them, but also interacting and engaging with youth, interacting and engaging with all of our community who'll be here at the park. So that's certainly something that we're definitely working towards. Again, I feel like this event was adequately staffed for what we knew it to be. What it became was something different at the very end of the evening, and we're so thankful that we were able to pull in additional resources to make sure that everyone was safe. I do hope that our community also, y'all are asking all the right questions, the questions that we've seen and been tracking on in the days since this happened, but questioning law enforcement, who are the professionals and are on the ground when this is happening, is it's okay to do that, but I'm really hopeful that as a community we continue to get to the place where there's a level of trust in those who have the expertise to make the right decisions at the right moment to keep us safe. And when I heard that, because my job is to also ask questions and to make sure that the event is handled accordingly. But when they tell me, I believe them because I trust them that they know what they're doing. And I hope that people trust us as staff also to know that it is important to program and have positive activities and continue to hire youth and all the things that we've been doing. We're going to continue to do that. The other thing to your question, Derek, about staffing is the difference too in a venue like this between a paid event and a free event like Juneteenth. So when you have a paid event, we come into it, and that's something that I think is a learning opportunity with this event, is that the economics, what we want to keep for free public events, sometimes we have not treated that like a paid event where we would hire additional, not park rangers, not police officers, but those yellow shirts, the event staff. That's helpful too, to have more of them, but there's a cost for that. And so we want to always balance the economics of a paid event and the free events as well, but we're going to have to look at that because I think that also is helpful to have more coverage in that way.
Is that one more question as it pertains to the team takeovers? Kind of on a bird's eye view, going a few blocks away from here, do you think that there are laws in place right now that would help, you know, whether that's law enforcement, city enforcement, to kind of further address the team takeover issue?
I would encourage our parents to be aware of what their children are doing. Any other questions? Okay, thank you all so much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here for Friends at 5. We just listened to a news conference regarding fights at Finlay Park on Saturday evening during a Juneteenth festival. We are now being told, though, that multiple fights broke out right near the splash pad area in particular. And 45 officers in total responded to the scene again over at Finlay Park. Now, we also heard today that 12 to 15 juveniles have now been identified, but dozens of juveniles were found around Finlay Park on Saturday, causing a lot of confusion there. 3 juveniles were detained Saturday night, but we now know they were all released into the custody of their parents. And officials say no weapon was ever discovered. However, the police chief during today's news conference says a child did find handgun ammunition over in the playground area. This evening, multiple community leaders are speaking out, making their voices heard. So coming up a little bit later, we're going to have more of their responses this Monday evening, plus what's being done to track down those responsible and their message to folks who are saying they're worried about visiting Finlay Park. That's all coming up a little bit later during our 5:30 newscast. We're going to have a live report with Kiki Gushu.